20?
Let's go 21. I think last one was 20, so let's go 21.
Oh, so I was totally wrong with the last one. Okay, so uh, today we've got John joining me for our
Hello.
intro to the wonderful and crazy world of anime hangouts. We are waiting for Leandre. I guess Leandre will make it when he gets a chance. So we are finishing up Devil is a Part-Timer, as it says in the description there. We are doing episode 9 through 13 today. So we're not going to go like in super duper in depth.
We got a lot to get through.
We have a lot to go through, and I don't have a whole lot of time.
Right.
Because I need to finish packing my stuff, and my whole house is a mess. So anyway, so John.
Starting off with episode 9.
Yes.
This one starts off with Rika, who is Emmy's friend from work, who we've met earlier in the season. Her, Susanoo, and Emmy going to confront Mao at McDonald's. I don't exactly remember why they were doing this. I probably because they're both kind of competing for him, or Rika thinks that Emmy and Susanoo are kind of competing for him, and she just wants to get a look at him.
Yes. She goes in. Is this the pool episode?
No, that's the next one, I think.
Oh, I never see it. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's 10.
I remember that they go in to confront Mao because I think they're trying to figure out what's his relationship with everybody.
And Rika wants to find out what the big deal is about him and why they're both, talking about him so much.
Yes, and this is the episode that I was referring to last time when we were talking about how there was the bamboo and okay, all right, so I know where we are now. So go ahead.
And then they end up at SFC because there's a big crowd there, and they want to try it out, and they run into LCL, who Mao has sent over to spy on them and to basically eat everything on their menu just to take notes on it so that they can compete.
Yes. And okay, so Rika wanted to figure out what the big deal was. Yes, okay, she wanted to figure out what the big deal was with Mao and why Emmy was so into him and what was the story and everything. My favorite part of this episode is the story that Emmy and LCL come up with. It's fantastic, where they start spouting off about how they were old work.
Right, and Mao and LCL are starting this company now, and competing with their old the company they used to work for.
Yes, and that actually ends up happening when LCL finds, or rather Rika and Emmy find LCL there, and then she starts saying how she knows this guy, and then they start explaining how they know each other. Hey, Leandre made it. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're able to make it. Can we hear you? I can't hear anything. Leandre. I think he's muted.
Yeah.
I didn't mute him. So, we'll continue on. So, basically, LCL and Emmy and Rika are all plotting how to confront Mao, essentially. They start going on about that. And Susanoo is just along for the ride, essentially.
Basically. Same thing with Chiho.
Huh?
Same with Chiho.
Yes. And I love Chiho. She's one of my favorite. Of course she's your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
We've already established that.
And we'll get into that in the next one.
Yeah. You remember the GIF that I posted a little while ago?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly where it came from. So anyway, LCL and Emmy and Rika are sitting there and they're talking, and they're explaining how they used to be in a company together and they were rivals in the company, something to that effect. And then all of a sudden, the company went under. And so because the company went under, they decided to go all part their ways and go their separate ways, et cetera, et cetera. So now she's trying to keep tabs on him type of thing, which is kind of close
It's
to
competing businesses, and it's a variation on what was actually the case in Enta Isla.
Yeah, it's kind of close to Enta Isla's reality. I mean, they were kind of in a company, and they kind of were rivals, and they kind of destroyed everything. So now they have to like start anew, something like that. So that works. I mean, I thought it was really funny though, because I love the fact that they're sitting there in a construction job and and Mao and LCL, like it's hilarious. So going forward, SFC, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken, as we've established, which is nothing close to Kentucky Fried Chicken, of course. Just like McDonald's is not McDonald's, but anyhow. And the rival SFCs just opened their doors.
Right across the street.
Exactly, right across the street from McDonald's. And Mao is in charge of the store this day that they opened up. And so it is his first real time being the assistant manager in the store. And he is supposed to increase numbers or at least make sure they hit their daily quotas, of course. And unfortunately,
of course, the store is empty because of SFC.
Exactly. With SFC opening up and all of the novelty and excitement, McDonald's has no customers. So since McDonald's has no customers, Mao tries to do some very conventional approaches to gaining customers with marketing, trying to promote coupons, et cetera, utilizing even sex appeal with Chiho, you know, like kind of, but not exactly, you know, walking
that kind of works for a bit.
Yeah, it
doesn't really
does.
get anybody in the store, but it gets some attention.
Right, but it doesn't get the ultimately the result he wants, which is people in the store. And then Mao gets a brilliant idea of it's actually a festival. That day that SFC is opening up is also a festival for, I think it was a Star Festival or something.
Harvest or Star or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
This is as close as they come to the traditional festival episode.
Yes, and I love that the way that this show introduces like your typical episodes in anime and not the most conventional way, I guess you could say, because every anime ever has the festival episode, the beach pool episode,
spring, whatever.
And the way that this is introduced, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
So
and there's a great gag when LCL comes back to report to Mao about SFC, where he talks about something being organically made, and Mao thinks organic means made by ogres.
Yes, I love that. I thought it was really, really great because, you know, all the talk about organic and everything, and then Mao is just like, they make it, ogres make it? Like, yeah.
I also loved the inspirational speech that he gives when he comes up with this grand idea for these, you know, bamboo trees and these paper chains, all these, you know, festival kind of decorations outside of the McDonald's, and he gives this marching into battle speech, like full-on general speech to the employees.
I totally thought of like Braveheart.
Yeah.
You know, or even like kind of like Adama.
Yeah.
You know, Adama in Battlestar when he's talking about how they're going to fight, or even I also thought of not Braveheart, but what is, I've completely forgotten. But anyway, any of those very rousing, you know,
kind of
going to battle type of things. So it makes you think, like, when he was in Enta Isla, like, I wonder if that's how he rapped his, you know, his generals. So I love that speech is great. I actually wish I had a little clip of it to play up. But anyway, and so his idea is really genuinely good. His idea is that he's going to utilize bamboo trees and put these paper stars on the bamboo trees as decoration and allow customers to write a wish, and then they get a free soda, I think it was.
A free small drink, yeah.
Yeah, with their wish. So it was a really nice idea, and it's very, very philanthropic. I want to say it's very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Altruistic.
Thank you, altruistic, not philanthropic.
And it works like a charm.
Yes.
Until later we find out that he inadvertently used magic with the wishes and the bamboo. It created a spell.
So it's funny because that created a spell, and to me, when I was thinking about the whole, like, oh, they created a spell, like, did they, maybe that's something that kind of happens. I know, I'm totally getting into, like, a total alternate dimension, real weird world or something like that, but, you know, when there's really positive energy and there's really positive things going on, then it kind of fuels itself, you know, when something's really positive and there's something really good, and it just continues to fuel itself, and it just becomes this mechanism or this force, you know. So it's kind of like a spell in some ways.
Yeah, I can see the cumulative effect there.
Yeah, like that. Did you get to watch it at all, Leandre?
No, unfortunately I didn't. I figured what I would do is I would hop in here to the Hangout and just wing it. You know,
no, I love it. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm really happy. The fact that you made it at all is such a good thing, because I was like, oh God, I don't want to be by myself again. Please, just make it. Oh, and John, I'm so happy you're feeling better.
Yes.
You sound 100%, so that's really great.
Well, yeah, last week my voice was rough. To explain, I had a bit of a stomach bug, and in addition to all of the stuff that normally comes with that, I had the hiccups for about 5 or 6 days.
Oh, God.
Which is way worse than you think it could possibly be.
Oh.
I went to the emergency room, they put me on Thorazine, which is apparently also used for hiccups in addition to various mental health issues.
Holy shit.
Yeah. They've been gone for a little over a week. I'm fine now, but my throat was completely ravaged last week, which is why I couldn't talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really, really happy to see you, and I'm really happy that you're all good now. So,
getting back to part-timer, there was another gag that I actually, when Rika meets Chiho.
When she grabs her...
Yeah, completely loses it over how adorable Chiho is. Yeah, like, throws her arms around her, grabs her cheeks, yada yada. Chiho prides herself away, and you know, Rika's apologizing. That's okay. You know, it was just, and she says it was super confusing, which I loved.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So leave it to anime to always play that nice gray area where you know the girls were like, well, I don't know. Do I kind of like this? So it's actually really funny because totally unrelated, but kind of, sort of. I'm like a huge K-pop fan, and one of my favorite K-pop artists is CL. And the song she did with G-Dragon and Skrillex, she says how I'm your girl's lesbian crush, and I'm like, oh, CL. So yeah. All right, that was a tangent. Anyway. So I love that Chiho and the way that they meet, and then they kind of all conspire to go and see Mao. And the whole time, Emmy is well, we've established Emmy is always trying to prove that she should not like Mao and she should be against him. But everything he's doing, especially like the last episode or previous episode rather, when he saves the people and he brings the town back into proper order, you know, she's like, why did he do that? He could have just demolished everything and not gone further into it, you know, like he could have taken over from there, but instead he took the positive route and he decided that he wanted to protect the people and fix everything. So instead of using his magic to go back and defeat everyone or go back to Enta Isla or anything like that, he's doing things for the good, which really
he used it all up to fix all of the damage that was done with the battle.
Right, and Susanoo also is curious about Mao as well, because Susanoo, we still haven't established where she's from or who she is. But
we don't know quite yet. I think it's in 11.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying it's kind of obvious, you know, like we kind of would feel that it's obvious.
Yeah, it was obvious from practically the first episode.
Yeah, everyone knows where Susanoo comes from.
Yeah.
So, but that said, like Susanoo also has this complicated feeling towards Mao as well, and it's kind of like everyone, and it's kind of like goes to a harem, I want to say.
A little bit harem-y, yeah.
Especially next episode. So anyway, so to finish up episode 9, pretty much what ends up happening, Mao saves the day by creating this bamboo idea. All the people start showing up, and it's this really wonderful positive ending and a really wonderful positive message where utilizing, instead of being like snarky and utilizing some like underhanded advertising tactics or something like that, he uses a really positive force to gain customers. Yeah.
Excellent.
So now you know. And now we're on to episode 10.
The obligatory swimsuit episode.
So, I don't know, Leandre, do you remember when I posted, it was on Google Plus, and I think I also posted in the community, but like the boobs, like juggling boobs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, right, yes.
Okay.
That was
I didn't recognize them at the time.
I was telling you about. So,
okay.
That is from this episode.
Yes.
Juggling boobs, like, so Chiho, as we've already established, is rather well endowed with her female parts.
Oh, yeah.
Boobs. All right, she's got great boobs. She does. And Chiho is trying to get Mao's attention, like, every single episode. She's trying to be like, hey, you know, I'm here. I really like you. Why don't you like me? Et cetera, et cetera. So the next episode going in, Mao is told that he has to go to this amusement park.
He's briefly transferred to a McDonald's near an amusement park, pretty much in an amusement park, to help them get their numbers up.
And Chiho wants to go too, but they said no, Chiho, we only need one person. And so because they only needed one person, Chiho was pretty bummed about it. But what she decided to do was go anyway.
Along with Emmy and Susanoo. Exactly.
And she calls up Emmy, and Emmy, of course, doesn't miss an opportunity to prove, you know, that Mao's a bad guy. So, and on top of that, my favorite character, Alciel, is sick. Alciel has been sick for this episode and pretty much till the end of the show.
And pretty much half of the episodes, he's writhing in pain in some way.
So I think the episode where we see the the gag you don't like, John, where they show the landlord in a bathing suit.
Oh, right, yeah.
Everyone like gets really sick about it. So ever since then, Alciel is pretty much walking a fine line between healthy and unhealthy. And so in this episode, I think it was having to do with food-wise, because he was eating too much
of the ramen that was
the ramen, that's right. And it was going bad. The ramen's going bad. Yeah. So he's been eating it, and he keeps getting sick. And so now he's just pretty much every 5 minutes going to the bathroom. And oh my gosh, what is his name? I just completely forgot.
Urushihara?
Urushihara, thank you. I was like, So Urushihara is telling Mao, hey, by the way, there might be some magic there or something that you can like check out while you're at the amusement park, because it's a haunted house. And
lots of people and haunted houses and a lot of fear.
Yes, and those haunted houses should have more magic, and then that should help them be able to go into Isla. I think something around there.
Yeah.
So Mal goes to this amusement park. He ends up becoming the he's helping out at the store, and who shows up? Oh, by the way, Chiho's whole I'm wearing this really hot bikini. He better notice it. He's gonna totally notice it.
Oh yeah.
She walks in. I love this gag. I felt so bad for her though, because she walks in. She's standing in line, pretty much pushing them up to her chin, and saying, "Do you like? How do you like?"
He doesn't even phase. It doesn't even phase him. He's like,
he assumes I have to make quote. She says, "Do you like it?" And he thinks she's talking about the store, the McDonald's.
It's awesome.
I felt so bad for her.
Face, Kyo's face is that classic eyes swirling moe face. She's just shocked. And then of course, there's Emmy there and Susanoo.
And of course, there are a million gags about how flat-chested Emmy is. She's not that flat. I mean, compared to Chiho.
Oh, she's not. Compared to Chiho, though, I mean, you're talking about porn-style boobs versus normal person.
Right.
I guess. Well, let's take that back, because there are some normal people that are very well endowed, and that's great for them.
Extremely large versus average.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's more of a normal range. So going on, and then we end up having this gag where they were talking about before how nobody would name themselves Sadao Mao because they thought that was the most ridiculous and weird name for anyone to be named. And of course, in this episode, there is a monkey, and the monkey's name is Sadao. And when Mao is running around doing deliveries for this McDonald's, he runs into what was that? Oh, sorry. Do you want to go ahead from there, John?
Oh yeah. When Chiho and Susanoo and Emmy end up actually in the reptile house, and I loved the difference between Chiho's fear of reptiles is because she saw this little normal lizard on a screen door, and Emmy's fear of reptiles is because of one from Mente Isla that was the size of a Buick.
I love that. Yes. Talk about the stark contrast between the two.
So they end up in the reptile house, and then there's this monkey that has escaped from another part of the zoo, and they find it, and Chiho picks it up, and of course there are a couple gags about her breasts. And
well, where does the monkey go for first? The monkey
he runs straight to Chiho's chest, yes. And they're carrying it around looking for someone to.
His home. He makes it his home for a little bit.
Pretty much.
And Chiho doesn't mind. Chiho's like, oh, look, I have a monkey hanging out in my chest.
And so they're carrying it around to look for someone to give it to, and there's this employee of the zoo area who just keeps yelling, "Sadao, Sadao," which of course gets their attention because they think he's talking about Mao.
Exactly.
And Mao actually shows up as they're handing off the monkey to the employee, which sets up about 5 jokes about how the monkey is named the same as Mao.
Monkey Mao.
And then something happens where the reptiles get loose.
Yeah, a few alligators end up climbing out of their enclosure.
And that ends up becoming a situation where all the people are panicking, and all of this negative energy now fuels Mao.
Yes. And
Mao, instead of once again utilizing his newfound power for bad, he once again decides to save the people. And I love how he pretty much calls these alligators unclean things and go back to where you came from.
He pretty much switches into parcel tongue and talks to commands these alligators to go back to their enclosure.
And then everybody's happy, and once again Emmy is like, "What? Why didn't you become a bastard Sharks that I want you to become and go try to rule the world. What's going on? And even Susanoo is sitting there going, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, we see, we get that little glimpse of now we're turning into the bigger conflict.
Right.
Where at the train, as Chiho and Emi and Susanoo are riding back, Susanoo gets a glimpse of a character that is on the platform.
And we see the blue hair, and we know it's the guy from FSC, who we just think is this complete tool who manages FSC. Turns out he's also from Enta Isla, which I kind of suspected. Actually, really suspected in the last episode, hearing him talk.
Yeah, I think it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
One thing that I feel like that guy is though, like he's so creepy.
Yeah. And it turns out that the insanely creepy guy is an angel.
Yeah, and that's like the weird, like I love that this anime turns everything on its head in terms of what we think of religion and what we think is good and bad and all of that. Like, the angel is actually like a really sick, creepy, almost like eye rapist.
Yeah.
He's a total eye rapist. Like the way he looks at Chiho and he's like Googling her, like, and then he like, I thought he like licked her hand or something. Really disturbed. Like, okay, so it reminded me of a situation I was once in where, because I used to be a ship agent, and I was on board one of the ships, and none of the crew could get off. And one of the crew members, like, he hasn't seen a woman in forever and ever and ever, and he just, like, totally gave me that weird, creepy feeling, too. And so every time I see his character, he totally gives me, like, the heebie-jeebies, like, creeps me out.
Like that stalker vibe.
Yeah, like, super creepy. Like, some of the people that add you on Google Plus, and then it's just like, why are you adding me?
And they're like, look at my pic. You know why. Like, yeah, I know those people. I know them well.
Yeah, so SFC manager is totally a creepster, and he's just so happens to be an archangel that is sent to destroy Mao and destroy Emi, essentially. Which is what we've discovered now in the next episode.
And just couple more notes about Ten. I'm glad that they haven't overused Mao's superpower. He only uses it like 3 times in the show.
Yeah.
They could have dragged that out every episode and made it a formula, but they held it back, which I like. Also, one of the funniest lines in the whole show is at the end of 10. Arishihara goes to get up to get the door after sitting at the computer for who knows how long. Stands up, falls flat on his face. Crap, stupid legs fell asleep. For some reason, that just killed me. Like, both of his legs were asleep. He'd been sitting there for so long.
And one thing I love about Arishihara is I love how he's got all these boxes and he's just buying all this crap online, and he just keeps ordering from Amazon Japan. It's like pretty much what it is. And it's just like, how is he getting money? Like, poor Mao. Mao is just like working his ass off, and every penny is going to Arishihara. And poor LCL makes, like, he can't even work because he's sick half the time. It's ridiculous. And Arishihara is just like a princess sitting there, like, spending all the money. So going into the next episode, or episode 11...
This is where we find out Susanoo's backstory.
Yes. And Susanoo is apparently the, like, hitman for the church, essentially. She has never really made a decision on her own. She's never had any sort of real independence and thought or an action. And so for her, she's always just done as she's told. Whatever has been told for her to do, she just does it and doesn't ask any questions. And now seeing Mao and seeing how the whole group is, now she's confused because instead of the expectation of everyone being these bad guys and she needs to take them out, now she's not really sure what she should do.
And she no longer has someone pulling her chain telling her what to do.
Yes.
Which she's starting to get used to, and then it's Sariel, who is the SFC guy, the angel, shows up, and he was her superior in the Isla. He gave her orders. And he tries doing it again, and she ends up kind of conflicted, because that's what she's used to, but she doesn't want to do it, because he basically orders her to kill Mao.
Yes.
And she tries to argue that, he's not hurting anyone on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, for me, it kind of, it makes, it's all going to continue on to the conflict. Like, you see it happening. Like, it's so obvious at this point.
Well, it's in the next episode, so.
Huh?
Well, it's in the next episode, so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the episode that sets it up for that internal conflict for Susanoo, where she's not sure what to do. Then it also sets it up for Emmy, because Emmy's now decided that she's no longer going to work for the church. She's not going to do what they're bidding, and she's going to make her own decisions. And she realizes at that point, she's like, you know what? Maybe Mao's the good guy, and maybe I shouldn't work for the church anymore.
Right.
So that ends up becoming her stand. She takes that stand. And Chiho actually decides that she's in the middle of this too, and Susanoo wants Chiho out. She doesn't want her to be involved. She's like, look, you're not from Mente Isla. It's not your problem. Don't get involved anymore. Mao's a bad guy. All these guys are bad guys. You don't know what you're getting into. And Chiho says, you know what? No, hold up. I chose to be here, so you need to stop telling me what to do, because you're not...
It's the same speech Emmy gave her in the first half of the series, and then Emmy realized it's not going to work. Susanoo now realizes it's not going to work.
Yes. And that's why Chiho's, to me, one of the strongest characters in the show. Oh,
absolutely.
Because Chiho's never had any sort of conflict about what she wants or the character that she is, or what side she's going to choose. Like, she's not had any conflict whatsoever since the show started. She's been intrigued by Mao. She's been intrigued by their world, and she wants to stay involved.
Yeah. And she has fought to stay involved when everybody's tried to push her away, and even when she found out, and the moment I fell in love with Chiho was the speech she gave to Mao, when he told her when he flat out said, "I'm not interested," and it was, it doesn't matter how you feel, I still feel the same way.
Yeah. Aw, Chiho. So, pretty much episode 11 is just that. We get the backstory of Susanoo, who she's this assassin. She's now being told that she knows what she needs to do. Why is she dragging her feet? And she decides now, okay, I need to stop dragging my feet, but she's very conflicted about the whole thing. And yet at the same time, she realizes that she's going to have to make a choice on something. So she decides that she's going to try and carry out her mission at the end of it all.
Emmy stops her, and that leads to a confrontation where basically Emmy vows to resolve the conflict without killing anyone.
Yeah. And now we're on to the next episode, which leads to the conflict itself. Yes. So, Susanoo decides that she's going to do what she intended to do. She's going to carry out her mission. Even though she's still conflicted about the whole thing, she's decided that she's going to turn on everyone, and she's going to carry it out. So once again, Emmy is with her, Chiho's with her, and she decides that she's going to work with Soriel. What's his name? I think Sariel. Yeah, Sariel, to take care of Mao. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And meanwhile, they've captured Emmy and Chiho. Chiho's tied up. Emmy is being tortured by Sariel while Susanoo goes after Mao. And there was
torture is really disturbing for me.
And also, there was a suggestion that Sariel was going to experiment on Shiho. That was
Yes.
impressively dark and creepy.
Yeah, the show really runs an interesting gamut to me, from being very slapstick to like this part. I'm like, whoa. You know, I wasn't really expecting it to get that dark.
Right.
Nor was I expecting it to get to walk that level of disturbed, you know?
Right.
Like, I mean, Soriel, the way that he tortures Emmy and the way he talks about Chiho in this episode definitely changed everything from being like, ha ha ha, everything's fun, everything's great, to being like, you know?
It went real dark real fast.
Yeah, really, really fast. So,
meanwhile, all of this is going on. LCL has checked into the hospital on Arushihara's suggestion, because if you feel that bad, I'll call an ambulance. I think he said in the previous episode. So,
yeah, oh yes, and that's my favorite part. So LCL says, no, don't call an ambulance. It's going to cost so much money, and we don't have the money to afford this. And Arushihara's like, dude, really? Like, you can't even freaking stand without throwing up all over the place. Like, what is your deal? He's like, I don't care. I'm calling an ambulance.
And so LCL is in the hospital at this point, still asking if, their insurance will cover it.
Yes, they're coming in with the bags of medicine to put in his IV, and he's like, no, please, like, I can't, we can't afford this, you take insurance, right? Like, do you take this insurance? And, the nurse is just like, listen, you're sick, don't worry about it, we'll deal with this part later. He's like, no, you don't understand, we don't have money.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The whole gag there is great.
So he ends up walking through the hospital and runs into Oba, who we haven't seen since like episode 4 or 5 when we first met Ushihara.
Yes.
Turns out Oba's also in the hospital. LCL gets knocked out. Oba escapes and joins up with Sariel, which is an interesting combination.
Well, that kind of was inevitable. If we didn't see Oba and there was no death, we knew that Oba was going to be around at some point. So, of course, Oba is going to join up with Soriel, and they're going to try to take out Mao. Yeah. That's their whole point of being there. And what ends up happening, though, is this where Susanoo makes her choice?
Well, no, this is just before that, because this is where she goes after Mao. And I loved how she went after him, because she's just flying after him with this giant hammer.
Yes.
Very cartoonish, very funny. After all of the dark torture stuff, it was interesting. She's just swinging this enormous hammer at him, and he's evading and trying to talk her down.
Is this the part where Mao takes off his clothes and gently puts them?
Yeah, because the uniform belongs to McRonald's, and he has to treat it with respect and not damage it.
And she's looking at him, going like, "Why are you stripping in front of me? I don't get this." And
so for the t-shirt and boxers.
Yes, and then not only that, but Mao is continuing to be this nice guy who doesn't want to screw up his uniform, who wants to be very respectful, and he's even trying to talk Susanoo down, like, listen, I've known all along where you're from, I knew what was going on, like, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes here, there's no reason for you to fight me, I'm not the same guy. Right. And so he continues to try to talk her down.
And she takes he gets down to the t-shirt and boxer. She basically just takes a swing at the ground with the hammer, and it's a blow him back. It just blows the t-shirt straight off of him.
And then she turns red, and she's like, "What? Now you're naked!" But she did.
He evades. He manages to talk her down, and I love the speech that she gave when she decided to switch sides.
Can you
I don't have any quotes, but I just really, basically just saying how she's spent her entire life being deceived by the church, and now it's time to make her own decisions. I kind of suspect, and this is pure speculation on my part, kind of a headcanon thing, but I think maybe the war was started by the Angels.
You know, I don't know. I mean,
well, they never get into any lore, but
yeah.
it's just kind of the impression I got from some things that Sariel was saying. I kind of feel like they took the first shot.
It's possible. It's possible.
And Mao was basically just defending his people.
Yeah.
And the humans just got dragged in.
Well, I think we're done with episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they fight. There's a big conflict between Mao and Sariel. I loved when he vows to to save Chiho, and Chiho says he does care.
His employee, and he has to take responsibility for his employees and ensure their safety. I love that.
She says, yeah, he does care, and then he gives the spiel about how she's a McDonald's employee and he's her manager. He doesn't care.
And her face is like,
yeah.
Oh.
And they had to, and I think they gave the line to Urushihara, if I recall correctly. They had to reference Heaven is a Place on Earth.
As what?
They had to throw out a Heaven is a Place on Earth reference. It's a Belinda Carlisle song.
Oh, yeah. Did that what you said?
Yeah, Urushihara directly says Heaven is a Place on Earth. It was a head shake moment.
Yes, he says it at the end when he betrays Oba. Okay, so Urushihara is confronted by Oba. Oba got out of the hospital. Oba goes to the house, finds Urushihara, tells him, hey, you're going to work with me now. Urushihara's like, all right, sure, because I'm a hacker and you need me. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So Oba and Urushihara are working together. But of course, Urushihara had his own plans, and that's when he says Heaven is a Place on Earth, because he ends up utilizing all of the traffic cams and all of this negative energy that ends up happening because of the destruction in the city, and he pretty much puts Mao in a position where he can suck all of this negative energy to become powerful enough to gain his form.
Yeah, and Oba had promised Urushihara to go, that he would be able to go back to heaven at the end of it. That was the context.
And that's why when he ends up being betrayed by Urushihara, he goes, but what about heaven? Something like that. And that's when he says heaven is a place on earth. Yes.
And I love the fake where Mao impersonated Chiho. Because he had, when Susanoo had switched sides, he had sent Susanoo to take care of her and get her out of there. Yeah. And then we know Susanoo is taking care of her, looking after her, but we don't know that they've left yet. And we see Chiho tied up on the roof, and Sariel comes after her, and suddenly she just turns into Mao, and he basically hunts Sariel across the city.
That was awesome. That was great. I love that. That was really good, for sure.
And after everything's been said and done, and it's all destroyed, of course, LCL shows up completely after the fact because he had to go home and get his cape.
And you know what he said? He had to go home and get his cape?
Wow.
Mind you, LCL is the general of King Satan, and he had to go home and get his cape. I'm here, sire, I'm here! And he's like, dude, the fight's already over, again! It's not the first time this has happened.
Awesome.
And at the end of it all, Mao, of course, fixes the city once again.
And we find that out in the next episode. It pretty much ends with this one. Pretty much ends with LCL showing up late. We find out in the next episode that Mao doesn't. On to 13. Mao doesn't have any more magic left because he had to repair the city after the big fight. So he's had to get a job. Well, LCL asked for some time off because we find out he had to get a job to pay for, all the hospital bills, and also because Urushihara got scammed. He was selling some stuff, and the salesman talked him into buying a bunch of stuff that they didn't need, and it was basically more money than they will ever have. So LCL has to get a job, and then now has to take leave from McDonald's to get another job to help them pay for it. This episode overall was kind of unnecessary for me.
Yeah, well, I think it was more of a like setup, because
I think they're going for another season, or
yes,
they're
yes,
jockeying for another
that's
season.
that's kind of how I felt like there was a lot of unanswered questions. There's a whole
Mhm.
lot of like this was kind of like a filler bit. I feel
Yeah,
like in
this would
some
have been a
ways.
perfectly fine mid-season episode.
Yeah,
It was
I didn't
entertaining and
think it
fun.
needed to end on this way because the
No,
way it ended, I felt like, oh wait, what? That was it?
yeah,
No, it couldn't
'cause
be it.
we get a couple of dream sequences from Shiho about Mao going back to Anti-Isla and Emmy dreaming that Mao is actually taking over the world. The whole bit with Arushihara and the scammer and trying to make money, and they come up with a legal way around that. The cooling off period, apparently, because Arushihara is under 20 on Earth,
Yes.
he couldn't legally sign a document for that much money. So they managed to get the money back, and that's pretty much the episode.
So it's funny because in this episode, it reminds me of so the next anime, well, now that we're finished, this is the last episode of The Devil is a Part-Timer. At least for now, until there's an official
Right.
season, which I searched vehemently because I really, really want a second season so badly. And I don't know if there's a petition going around, but somebody make a second season. Please, please make a second season for Devil is a Part-Timer. It's so fresh. It's so funny. It's a great story. It doesn't have kids. It doesn't really have high school. It's awesome.
Chiho is high school age. She's 16
Yeah,
years established.
but
That's about it.
other than one episode of
you
them
only see
in
her.
a high school
Which wasn't really about high school. It was
at
actually
all.
going to the high school after dark, and it was a Scooby-Doo episode, effectively.
Exactly. So that's one of the. I mean, I loved this anime because it was so great. Yes, it had the tropes, but the way that it delivered, the idea was so unique. The characters are really well done, considering like that it's such a short anime, and to have such great character development in 13 episodes was fantastic. So, that said, one of the things that I was going to bring up is this episode, the whole Yubatsu stuff, and this is like some marketing scam, like what is it called? The pyramid. What the
Basically,
hell is that? Multi-level marketing scheme.
Yes, that's it.
So there's one that goes on in Welcome to the NHK, which that is our next anime. Welcome to NHK. I'm so excited. I hope you guys love it because it's one of my absolute favorites, top 10 anime of all time.
From the little I know about it, I think it may hit a bit close to home for me, but that'll be good.
No, it's definitely a fun anime. I think it also has, yes, a lot of great commentary and a lot of very realistic, maybe, hitting close to home. But, there's a lot of lightheartedness to it and a lot of great story, and fun. So it'll be really exciting, I hope. So now that we finished talking about Devil's a Part-Timer and we have a few more minutes, I wanted to say, okay, so I put up in the community Me. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but
I skimmed through it, yeah.
So Me came out last year, I want to say, and I've seen it before, and I was like, I thought it was brilliant, and I thought it was really well done. It totally fits as an intro going into Welcome to NHK. And you'll see why once we start watching Welcome to NHK.
Watching the beginning of Me, it was when I realized, okay, this one could hit a bit close to home.
Yeah. So yeah, if that's the case, then Welcome to NHK will definitely feel a little close to home to you. But hey, we have Hangouts, so you don't feel like you're talking to an anime character. You are actually talking to people. So it works out. So, Me to me was brilliant, especially for what its commentary was and in trying to, like, explain to me, like, of course, I took it as this is what anime expectations have done to a lot of people's relationships, as well as not even anime expectations, but media expectations. You know, you have this concept where you think that women are going to be these like cookie cutter, perfectly shaped ideals, and you know, and that kind of destroys people's expectations of each other. And I also think it has as a great commentary as well on like porn and the obsession with porn. So, you know, like if you watch too much porn, maybe you have an issue with being with people because they don't meet your expectations or something to that effect. So I don't know. Like these are the opinions that I kind of got, and or my kind of take on it, if you will, on what the show was trying to say, and it was very like the real girl was trying to reach out to him, being like, I'm here, and the guy was more like, I prefer, you know.
That definitely becomes a problem.
So, you know, I don't know if that's something that people are experiencing, but you know, that's kind of what I took from it, was that it was trying to make a commentary on that issue.
Just a couple comments on the simulcasts. Just not going to go through all of them. Raycon's still brilliant. Plastic Memory is still brilliant.
I caught up on Raycon. It's very, very good. Thanks for that suggestion.
Can't understand what my husband is saying. Did you watch today's episode?
I didn't get to watch today's yet.
They did the first non-fan servicey Hot Spring episode ever. It's a Hot Spring episode with no fan service.
Wow.
Wow.
That's gonna be.
There's kind of a joke about his brother who looks like a girl. I can't remember the character.
Yes.
They kind of show him in kind of a sexy pose, but that's it. That's as far as it goes. The rest is completely non-fan servicey.
I love the episode before that one where they're bowling, and the brother that looks like a girl, and
and a wee throw.
the actual girl, and it's like, you know, and then the girl's like, oh look, and he's like, oh. It was awesome. I love that.
I dropped Triage.
You dropped Triage?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last episode of Triage was really weird. I didn't really get it at all.
Okay.
It turned up like there was this whole thing about the girls, and it got really retarded, for lack of a better word. I'm sorry to say, but it just got really ridiculous. I mean, the girl's like, oh, look at my scar! And it's like, you know, like, instead of, you know, like, just showing her, like, her arm, she's, like, taking off all her clothes, like, button after button, and the other girl's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Well, you get a feeling from Triage that they're trying to skirt as close to hentai as possible without actually going there.
Bingo! That's exactly where I thought.
This is why I dropped it. Because the show exists for two reasons. Violence and boobs.
Yeah.
And why watch it censored and miss, for me, the more interesting half of that equation, when I can wait until it's out and uncensored, and then I can get the full experience.
True. Yeah. I can't disagree with you on that. I mean, if that's what we're going for, you might as well show the whole banana, you know?
Well, they don't. They traditionally always censor until it's out on DVD. It's a way to sell the DVDs.
Right, and then the DVDs are uncensored.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Yorasuke Doji, so.
They've done it with a lot. Outbreak Company, a couple seasons ago, they did the same thing with. They were like obviously censoring it at points.
Yeah. They did like with Tokyo Ghoul. They censor Tokyo Ghoul by making the blood blue. Or that's more of a standards and practices, more of a censorship than a marketing censorship like they do. I see where you're going. Okay. Yeah. Well,
Gunslinger Stratus is just keeping me interested enough to keep going. They drop these hints about, you know, other things going on in the universe, because mostly it's just violence and action scenes, and that kind of bores me. But they drop little hints that keep me, just enough to keep going. Thank you for recommending Food Wars. I am loving it.
Isn't it fantastic? I love Food Wars. It's right now. It's up there with Plastic Memories for me as far as things that I absolutely have to watch. Food Wars is, like I said, it is the definition of foodgasm. Like I've never seen an anime or a show that has been able to equate food to having sex. And the way that they do it is brilliant because for me, like, I really love food. Like, I really do. Like, I have a problem with how much I love food. I take way too many pictures of food. I'm one of the people that's like, no, don't touch the plate. It needs to be photographed first. Like, absolutely. So, and I have to wait to get, like, the perfect angle and the perfect lighting. And, so and then when I eat my food, I'm making sounds and whatever. So I'm one of those people. So for me, this show is awesome. I love this show. It's one of the best shows ever. Definitely. And I'm excited to see where it goes with the whole, like, Elite 10. And let me say, like, somebody wrote a comment, I don't remember where it was. I think it was in Crunchyroll where I was watching the episode and on the commentary. And somebody said, anime, the only place where a man can be fully naked wearing an apron and look menacing.
I
was like, yes, that is the truth. Because nowhere else, I mean, like, anywhere else you couldn't do that. Absolutely not.
And I'm glad I finally understand that table shot in the ED now. Because they have that creepy part where they're all, all mowy and naked and on food, and then they cut to that kind of Last Supper take where it's all of them sitting at the table.
Yes.
And now with the dorm episode, I finally understand that shot.
Yeah.
I know who everybody is.
We're gonna get to that part where we can understand it. Like, I think now we kind of have, like, the main cast of who's in it.
Yeah, now it's all set up.
Like, for sure.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the setup for this show is fantastic. Episode 1, where you had that, like, Yakuza, like, woman coming in and trying to take over the restaurant, and then her destroying the restaurant, being like, "And what, bitch? You can't cook anything now. It's mine." And then he's like, "Oh, no, hold up, bacon and potatoes." What? That was for me, was just like, yes! Because I love bacon and I love potatoes. Like, of course, that's fantastic. And then the way that he made it, I was like, oh, genius! I gotta try that. So, Food Wars, I'm so glad that you're enjoying it.
One last comment about the simulcast. I gotta give a plug to Punchline. If you're not watching, highly recommended. This is the one with the tagline, "If he sees underwear, humanity will be destroyed."
Yeah, I know. I tried watching episode 1. I think I'll give it another try.
Push through to 2 or 3.
Okay.
Because it gets really interesting. Basically, so he's a spirit, and then there's this cat. He's the only person who can see him. And he's living in his house. 2 of the denizens of the house. One is a pop singer who moonlights as a superhero called Strange Juice. And another.
Oh, okay. All right. You got me.
Okay. Another we find out is an
I
android.
want to watch it now. Yeah. You just said pop singer, Strange Juice, boom, those things
moonlights as a superhero. It's not like the panty gag is only like once an episode.
Cool.
To just, check the box. The rest is about everybody else living in the house.
That's awesome.
He's a spirit. He can kind of weave in and out of their lives.
Yeah.
So that's what it's really about.
Like Real World or something.
So he can kind of weave in and out of all these scenes with these other characters being about.
Huh?
He kind of weaves in and out of the scenes with all these other characters, and we find out about them, and it's really all about the other characters.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah, definitely give it a few more.
Also, I was going to say, Plastic Memories, I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Last episode almost had me in tears. Seriously, that was the episode where the kid is...
Yes.
I actually, no, I did have tears. I'm lying. I totally had full-on blubbering tears because that totally hit home, for as far as loss and as far as like how well they're developing their characters. I mean, it's amazing within 20 minutes that you actually feel so deeply for that character, you know? I mean, it boggles my mind because they're short, you know, I mean, it's just episodic, but the characters that they're bringing out, I mean, it's really impressive to, you know, and it shows that the quality is there, you know?
That did it for me.
Intrigued to see where it goes.
That episode did it for me, and the next, not the most recent episode of Retcon, but the previous one about Inoue's cousin.
Oh, yeah.
That had that effect on me, too.
Yeah.
And with Retcon, I love that they have these recurring spirits. Kind of, in addition to their girls, they have these recurring, you know, ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay, Psychopaths.
Psychopaths. I haven't seen season 2 yet, so please don't ruin it for me.
I won't spoil anything. It's just, I think there's a lot of criticism online. A lot of people say it's not as good. To me, it is just as good as season 1. A new central villain who I think is even better than Makishima.
No, really?
That's a judgment call. I think he's better. He's more interesting.
No kidding. Because I love Makishima. Makishima is one of my favorite villains ever.
The Mika, the new inspector. My worry is about her being a minor. No problem. They pit her and Akane up against each other, but they don't treat her like a kid. There's none of those tropes. But Makishima is referenced once. That's it. He doesn't come back.
So he's gone.
He was mentioned once or twice. He doesn't come back at all.
Huh. Okay.
Kogame has a couple of scenes, but he doesn't really come back. He's kind of he's in Akane's imagination. He's kind of a sounding board. He doesn't come back until. Did you see the trailer for the movie?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything Psychopaths related in a long time.
He's a major part in the movie. They bring him back for the movie.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I love his character.
They're bringing him back for the movie. He has 2 scenes in season 2 where he's kind of in Akane's imagination as a sounding board. So
it's worth watching season 2.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. I'll check it out then.
Yeah, there's a twist at the end, like the twist with Sybil. There's another twist at the end of season 2 that I have to think about, which I like. You know, like the twist with Sybil, I had to think about to decide if I liked it. This is another twist where I had to think about it to decide if I liked it. I think it all made sense. It got a little. There are a few too many villains. It runs into that a little bit at the end, but it becomes necessary to affect a big change in the series.
I see. Okay, well, I'll check it out then.
Yeah, my only real criticism of the series as a whole is that I didn't really care about half the cast in season 1. I only really cared about Akane, Kogami, and
I loved all of the characters. I really wish they actually expounded more on a couple of them in particular. Yeah. I feel like
Kunizuka doesn't have much of a personality. She's just kind of there. Kagure, they never really gave a Kagure, I only gave him a personality. I never really cared about him, so they did not bring him back. That was a concern of yours. He's gone.
Okay.
Didn't care for him. Didn't care for Ginoza. They make Ginoza way more interesting in season 2.
Really?
Yeah. Yayoi, I can't think of her last name. The female enforcer.
Yay.
Still has no personality, but she's still kind of a background character.
Oh, okay. I mean, I want to see what they do with it. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it at some point, but
I was relieved because they killed off my favorite character at the end of season 1. I was Masayoka, who I loved Masayoka. Yeah. I loved the old bitter guys.
I loved his character, and that broke my heart that they killed him off. I was like, why?
And I just dropped a huge spoiler there for anybody who hasn't watched it. If you haven't, it's on Kiss Anime, it's on Netflix. Watch it immediately. You know how I like to compulsively make lists. I'm now trying to decide. It doesn't touch Lane or Fooly Cooly. They're still 1 and 2 by far. I'm trying to decide if it's as good how it compares to Paranoia Agent. That's how good I think it is.
Whoa. I actually think Paranoia Agent is better,
I
but
think it may be slightly, but it's close.
I loved Paranoia Agent because I
Mhm.
love the just the concept of it and the actual way that Paranoia Agent developed.
Yeah.
And the storyline and then the resolving of that storyline I thought was brilliant.
For
So
me, Psychopath is very, very close. Like I'm still not sure which I prefer of the two.
all right.
And what's one final note because you got to get going. Landre left, so we can't really get into it because I know he watched it. There's a
Oh, Time of
there's
Beast. Can I
there
tell
is
you? I've only watched about half, and I love it.
Okay, good. If you
So
like it already, you will love the ending.
I really love it. I love the concept. I'm a big fan of robot love. Like
Mhm.
I actually. I'm not even kidding you. Like I've had to confess like to my other half. I was like, listen, I totally would you be opposed to like having a relationship if robots were involved? And he's like, no, why not? Sure. You know, I was like, that's not weird, right? Like, you know, to like think that I would want to have like a robot involved in a relationship. I don't know. For me, like when because I'm at the part where the two that are in the cafe, we figured out that they
Lena
are
and
both robots.
yeah, I can't think of the name.
Huh?
The two who are we find out are bots, yeah.
Right. And not only that, but he's got an issue where his master is in love with him.
Yeah.
I was like, I could totally see that. Like, you know, that's not a problem to me. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I think
it's debatable if she was in love with him or she was just using him. It's a little.
I mean, even then, you know, I mean, it's her emotional crutch or it's her physical crutch. Who knows? But I totally could see that. Like, and I don't think that's weird.
But
you
yeah,
know,
I'm kind of shipping Riku and Akiko. So.
Which one?
Rikuo, the one with the glasses, and Akiko, the girl. I kind of.
Oh, I see. Oh,
They don't end up together, but I mean, if you know, headcanon, if you know, continuing in that universe, I could kind of see that.
I would ship them too for sure. And you know, I think I think it's really nice. You know, I mean, who are we to judge about androids and having emotions and all of that? Like, or people that fall in love with androids. Hey, you know, I mean, it can happen.
The whole thing is a pretty obvious civil rights analogy, but it's extremely well done.
Cool. I haven't finished it yet, so I will jump on that.
And just to everybody else, there's a link to it on YouTube in the community because it's no longer available on Crunchyroll. Absolute masterpiece. That's another one that's kind of tied for third with me with Psychopaths and Paranoia Agent. It's kind of in that area for me. I should mention it is completely G-rated. There is no language. The closest it gets to sex is the suggestion that some humans are sexually attracted to androids. And some cleavagey shots. The only violence is a character getting slapped. Like which you just got to, shortly before, that is the only violence in the whole piece. So it's completely G-rated, but it is one of the best animes I've ever seen.
Phenomenal. The art is absolutely stunning.
Perfect mix of CG and 2D.
And also, I would say the dub is really well done.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought it was perfect. So
and
I know some people have issues with subs versus dubs, but I thought the dub on this was really, really well done.
And as I ranted in the community, my only issue with the dub is that they didn't translate a lot of the text.
Yeah, well, I mean that's going to be an issue with a lot of dubs in general. You know, they don't translate the text, which I think that might be something that hopefully they would do in the future, but
I went through the OVA, which is almost identical except for a few scenes here and there, and that's subtitled, and they translated a lot of the text. You don't really miss much. That thing at the beginning, it says, in somewhere in, probably Japan in the near future, robots have been in use for a while. Androids are coming into use. And there are a
Hey!
couple of commercials
Lauren!
for the ethics community. Hello?
Hey! Good to see you!
Hey, we're trying to figure this
Welcome
out.
back! You're coming in towards the tail end, but I'm glad you're here.
Uh-oh, can't quite hear you guys.
That's okay. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
For sure. So, as I mentioned, I'm gonna be traveling this weekend. Actually, I'll be leaving. So,
Well, in about an hour.
yeah, I know. I gotta finish packing all my stuff. Are you kidding me? It's a mess. But that said, I am going to be on a very, very different time zone.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm not sure how we're gonna schedule, but we can try to figure that out.
Okay.
It's I'm gonna be on the other side of the world again, so should be interesting. And I don't know if like I'll get Crunchyroll simulcast faster, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
It'll actually be I'll probably be able to get it and get like right out as soon as it's airing.
Well, I think they put it out. I don't know if location matters in terms of when they put things out. I think they just put it out whenever. You know, it's an hour after. They claim an hour after it airs in Japan.
Well, I'll see if I can get it right on the money if I can. Fortunately, though, where I am going, I will have Google. Yay!
Yeah.
So we can have Hangouts, and there shouldn't be an issue with Hangouts. It'll be interesting because I really don't know time-wise like how we're gonna do it. I'll have to like message you and be like, I don't know what day is good for everybody. I think weekends everyone decided they wanted to do. So Lauren,
Saturdays preferably. Saturdays or Sunday nights. I can't really do Sunday during the day.
okay, so at least I don't even know what time that would be. If I have to wake up earlier and hang out with you guys, then that's.
Well, I know Japan is 13 hours ahead of the East Coast, so calculate from there.
Yeah. So I know roughly like what time wise it would be. So, but I just have to coordinate it with everybody and see what day will be best for everyone. So, on that note, I will be seeing you from the other side of the world.
Have a safe trip. Have fun.
Thank you, and have a good rest of the week and everything. And yeah, crazy, huh?
We shall see how many we can do.
Welcome to the NHK.
How many episodes?
1 through 3.
Okay.
When we get back, where that is.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, welcome to NHK. Though I'm really excited because like I said, this is one of my top 10 anime of all time. It's next to Steins Gate for me. Steins Gate is top 3.
Okay.
And that's one you haven't seen either. And you know, it's really hard for me to like list what's my favorites because I love so many anime and there's so many good, like just great anime that I think should be like on everyone's classics. Like they.
I run into a lot of ties in terms of that. Like I have a 3-way tie for third now, but I just have to compulsively make the list.
Well, yeah, you're a list maker, so.
I've seen the prequel to Steins Gate and I liked it. So Chaos Head.
Steins Gate is amazing. Amazing times like 1,000 amazing. I actually really want us to get into Steins Gate at some point, you know. Yeah. But for sure, like we have to put that on the list. And Black Lagoon. You haven't seen Black Lagoon either. And so my only thing with Black Lagoon is you have to be resolved to realize that there's not going to be an actual resolution to anything. But that said, it's a phenomenal roller coaster ride. Like absolutely fantastic. So much fun. Crazy, really gory, really violent.
But the impression I get from the little I've seen about it, it's mostly just wall-to-wall action.
It is wall-to-wall action. There's great character development in Black Lagoon, but nobody takes themselves too seriously, really. So as long as you're okay with all of those premises, I would say premise, whatever,
Premises.
then it's going to be fun. It's a fun show. But that said, welcome to NHK. It's going to be awesome. It definitely covers otakus, and it clearly explains what an otaku is, you know. It also covers hikikomori syndrome, which is basically people that they're just like subsisting, if you will, and they're not really doing anything for society one way or another. They're pretty much mooching or leeching off of other people, and they're not doing any good for the world. and they sit at home. Oh, and they're extremely antisocial. They sit at home and they don't see people at all. So that's what hikikomori is. And so starting off with that, like I said, me, Lauren, I posted this in the community. If you can check it out, since we're going into Welcome to NHK, me is a great, I would say, prequel or setup, if you will, for going into this next anime, because it really gives you an idea of the subject matter, if you will, of what we're going into.
Okay.
So, and like I said, I'm so excited because it's one of my favorite anime. Some of my absolute all-time favorite characters are in it. Some of my favorite storyline arcs are in it. It covers the gamut of everything. It covers hentai games. It covers MMORPGs. I know, hentai games? Yes. Hentai games, yes.
Okay.
Let's begin, hentai games. There you go.
Quite a few of those.
It covers doujinshi. It covers loneliness, depression. It covers people that are hear voices and are imaginative, and virtual reality and all of these things. It covers everything. I don't know. It's great. And it has a little bit of a romance story to it, so it makes it it doesn't take it to that level though of romance where you're like.
So it's a kind of a sociological kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a really great sociological, emotional roller coaster that the character goes through, and you're going through it with the character.
Now, is the character somebody who exhibits these character flaws?
I would say,
Or the curious traits, the hearing voices, things like that, or?
Yes. In some respects, well, actually, yeah, absolutely, he does, and you see that from the first episode.
All right.
So it's very exciting. In terms of how I've explained it, it's exactly like that. So. And I'm personally excited to see how everyone gets on with it. There's not a whole lot in the way of action, the way we think of action. There's imaginative action, which is really fun.
Okay.
So, all right, guys, I will see you from the other side.
Good night.
Adios.
All right, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.